Today, we've got a great topic, right? I've been in this space for a while. Throughout the time, I've seen people who have dabbled in multifamily. I've seen people who've been gone on to be very extremely successful. I've asked my mentors myself, it's like, what's the number one thing that sort of keeps people from having success, and what's the number one thing that makes people successful in this? And so today's conversation is going to be the 4 mistakes that you really need to avoid in order to be successful in this, and what mistakes do a lot of multifamily investors make that keep them from being successful. So if you're tuning into this, you're one of the faithful, because it's very rare. I'm a positive person. You know what I mean? I usually have a smile on my face, and you won't catch me in a bad mood that often. But sometimes we just got to talk about the dark side. So for those today, y'all showed up for the dark side conversation. And so we're going to dig into it thoroughly today, right? So the goal is that you understand these things of sort of what not to do. And then based off of that, you can then make the appropriate steps of what you should do so that you can have the success that you would like. So if you are attending, go ahead in the chat, roll call, right? Where are you located at? Go ahead, drop in the chat, city or state that you're located in, and let's see what we got. And while that's happening, I'll go ahead and just do a quick screen share. For those who don't know, I started my multifamily career back in 2016. It was with some ugly 34-unit apartment complex that needed a lot of work. I think I probably was the only person that would buy it, but from there, it led me to scale. I learned the business. At this point, we're sitting at a little over 1,100 units that we've owned since 2016. This is my website, realapartments.com. So now we're niching down to affordable housing, and not just trying to just buy apartment complexes, but also trying to buy apartment complexes with a purpose. And yes, we're still return driven as well. So if you want to see about some of the properties that we've done, read up about what we're doing, what I'm at right now on this website is realapartments.com. That's RIL apartments.com. And you can read up more about us there. If you would like to hear about our investments, right? Because if you are an investor looking for a passive investment, then you click on Invest Now. That will bring you to a form that you just fill that out. Me or somebody from my team will reach out to you. We'll set up a time to have a discussion. We'll see if we're a good fit for each other, and we'll sort of move on from there if we are. So that's just a brief introduction about me. And now we'll go back to the regular scheduled program. All right, where we got today? All right, Fort Worth, Texas, covered in the house. Concord, Jock, you here with me? What's going on, my man? Uriah, we got to talk too, man. We got Philly in the house, Tampa, and Nas says he really appreciates Super Dope, but excited for the breakdown. Yeah, so with that, man, let's go ahead and hop into it. So things that you should know about being successful in this business. There is a wise proverb that says the person that chases 2 rabbits will catch neither. And this is not even in the top 4, but I wanted to put it here, how important a decision is. When I first got started, I remember I was so excited that I was going to be buying multifamily, because for the first time since I started in real estate, I had a plan that I can map out. It's like, okay, if I buy, I thought I was going to buy like a 4-unit or 8-unit and then just scale from there. But I had a plan that I could actually see in 5 years I was going to be able to, quit the rat race, go full time in real estate, which I was able to do. But there was no other venture that I tried that actually gave me a plan that worked, even though I dabbled in a lot. And so the reason that I bring that up is because the power of decision changes everything. And once you make up your mind that this is what I'm going to do, then focusing on that and putting all your effort and energy on that is what's going to propel you forward, not dabbling around. Like when I was I was a single family real estate agent, not a very good one, but I did it, right? That didn't work for me. I was trying to do single family. I was trying to do multifamily. I even sold Amway. okay, I didn't really sell Amway, but I went to the marketing scheme. I signed up a little bit. Y'all, if you listen to this, don't tell anybody that I did that. It's something I'm sort of embarrassed about. But anyways, it's out there, right? I did a bunch of different things of trying to get to my goal of leaving a W-2 job. But dabbling in those things never got me success. Once I got excited about multifamily and stopped everything else, that was when I was able to put all of me into the business. I used to run in the mornings. I'm listening to music. There was no more Lil Wayne in my earbuds or anything like that. I'm focused. I'm locked in. I'm listening to a multifamily podcast, a raising capital podcast, something that's going to help me as a person, right? That was just going all in. This is not a business to dabble in. It actually costs way too much money to say, hey, I'm just going to buy, $3 million properties on the side as a side hustle. I wouldn't recommend it, right? But if you can make a decision and then go all in on that decision, you will be much better off. Why? Because everything works, right? There's somebody making a killing in Airbnb right now. There's somebody who's living in a mansion right now who did it with fixing and flipping, right? Everything works. Amazon businesses, all of it works. You have to decide what's going to work for you. And when you make that decision, now everything changes. So I beat that horse enough. Just want to get into make a decision one way or the other. Make a decision and get off this live right now. Like, stop looking at me, run my mouth about multifamily if multifamily isn't your thing. But making that decision is what's going to help you go forward. So let's go ahead and break down into these top four. Let me share my notes right here. Boom. And while I'm going through this, if you got questions, if anything is unclear, feel free to reach in and just drop a chat. Once I wrap up, or if it makes sense of what I'm talking about, I'll go back through and answer those questions. So first is the skills. In multifamily, you're going to have to find deals. You're going to have to underwrite those deals. You're going to have to make offers. And what I've seen people do is have a very limited perspective when it comes to finding deals and making those deals work, finding deals and underwriting those deals. And what I mean by that, one of the worst things that you can do is think that you know it. I've had conversations with people, and the moment that you say, I know how to do that, you actually cut your brain off from exploring anything else because you think that you know how to do it and you don't need any further assistance. And so there is the law of the first deal. I've heard it, or the fact that you need to underwrite 100 deals in order to find one. And I'm not saying that any of that is wrong, but what happens is people think that you will just put numbers into a spreadsheet, and that spreadsheet suddenly is going to tell you whether to buy this deal or not buy that deal, and that's it. And if the spreadsheet doesn't look good, if the spreadsheet doesn't give you the numbers that you're looking for, now it's time for you to go on and find another deal because that one doesn't work. In the last, 5-6 years, mainly every multifamily property I ever bought was a deal that was made, right? It wasn't necessarily, it didn't show up pretty. You're not buying, $8,000 in cash flow day one in most instances, right? It's not optimal day one. It's usually like you buy something, you understand the upside potential in that, and you make that deal happen. Or you look at a deal, you find out the discrepancies that are within that deal, and then you go to change those things. So you lower the expenses or you increase the income in order to make that deal better. So when you get into the process of saying, hey, I'm underwriting deals and I know how to find deals, and you just do that, you don't have enough skill to actually go forward and make a deal happen, especially in today's climate, right? We've seen interest rates go up. We've seen multifamily get super expensive, and it's no longer amateur hour where you can just bring in, throw some numbers in a spreadsheet. It kicks out an 8% cash on cash return. All your numbers aren't even that fleshed out. You got some mistakes in it, but it's a killer deal, and you can just make an offer and walk to the bank. Those days are over, right? You need to have a level of certainty in your deals, and you have to do your homework. And so what I mean by that is when we make an offer on a property, it probably takes us, after the underwriting is back, it probably takes us 7 to 10 days. And 7 is very much on the low end. And oftentimes it goes above 10 days just to actually get to an offer price. So what are we doing in that time? Well, we're talking with the property manager. We're confirming the rents. We're having a conversation with the local tax commission to see where our taxes are going to be. We're digging deep into that property to make sure our numbers are accurate. And what I'm harping on right now is just trying to embed it in you that you need to have the skills to go find deals, especially today. And it's not something that you could just easily brush over and say, all right, it worked or it didn't work, right? So take the time, learn the skills, learn how to underwrite, do your homework, and find those properties, right? That's mainly what I'm getting at. There are people who have complained that there aren't any good deals out there. And we bought deals this year, we bought deals last year, right? So how are some people finding deals and some people that are not? It's all in this level right here. It's about having the skill to understand what a deal is, how you can get creative with structuring it, and how to make those work. All right. So I'll move on. But before I move on, I do want to say this. There's a law of mentalism, right? And this is a little sort of side note. But in the law of mentalism, what it states is that everything starts within the mind of somebody. Okay. So everything that you see first existed in somebody else's mind. So if there is somebody who's buying deals, I'm going to be very quick with this, but if there is somebody who's buying deals, you have to get into their mind to understand how is it that they're making it work and see if, one, they're an idiot and they don't know what they're doing, or maybe they may know something that you don't in order to make those deals work. And if you're just casual, if you're just on the sidelines, if you're doing this as a hobby, you won't put in that effort to find out what it is. All right, moving on. I told y'all we was going to the dark side today. So that's where we are. Stay on the ride. I promise you it'll get better. So next, am I sharing my screen right now? Yes. All right. So next, systems. All right. Underwriting deal is a system. Making offers is a system. Raising capital is a system. And so if you're like me and you're building this business while you have a full-time job, maybe you have a wife, maybe you have kids, maybe you have a husband, maybe you have kids, whatever, right? You've got stuff going on. You need systems in order to make this happen. Otherwise, you're going to become overwhelmed, right? So what I managed to do, what I teach others to do, is to build a deal obtaining system, right? How do you get a system of deals flowing to you? Then how do you have a system of underwriting those deals? Because you don't want to take 3 or 4 hours every time a deal comes in to go through that underwriting yourself, and you don't have to. How do you create systems of getting money coming into you? Why do you need a system of money? Well, for one, it takes money to buy deals, but there are people that show up and have an investor database. Even though you may have the capital yourself, you may have equity lines of credit, you may have rich uncles, friends, what have you, that could fund your first deal. Those investors can't afford to give you money over and over again. And you don't have the same amount of money to invest over and over again. So you have to create a system so that your money supply is growing. And the people that aren't successful in this business, they come in, maybe they do a deal, just one deal. This is what led me into syndication. I did my first deal. It took all the money I had to buy it. I bought that deal, and then it took years before I could execute that business plan. So I was sitting on my hands like I can't do another deal for 18 months, and I was unsatisfied with that. And so learning that you could raise capital was the way to expedite the growing of the business. And you're going to want to do the same thing. That's a system. All right. So making sure that you have systems, because the unsuccessful people, they don't have a system. So they buy one deal, if any deal at all, and then that's it. And then it's like very slow process. All right. Thirdly, support. Oftentimes with this, you're going to be making the largest purchase that you've ever made in your life. All right. And I've seen people that we met at conferences multiple times. I'm like, hey, these conferences oftentimes are like a year and a half apart. So I'm like, hey, I've seen you now, for the last 2 years. Have you bought a deal yet? The answer, no, they didn't buy a deal. What happened? Well, we got into it. There was, it looked good, but then the owner wanted us to put more money down, or they wanted us to shorten the due diligence period, whatever it is, right? These sort of things happen within a deal. And if you don't have support, it's easy to get scared. And when you're scared, the easiest thing to do is just to run away and not do the deal. All right. The way I knew I made a ton of mistakes on my first deal. When it went into raising money, I immediately knew that I didn't want to make mistakes with somebody else's money. And so the confidence to do the second deal all came from having a support system, which means I'm not the only one who looked at the deal. I'm not the only one who approved the deal. I wasn't the only one who was involved in the negotiations. And you shouldn't go out and be on the island by yourself either, because it's just too costly to do. It costs way too much for you to go out and risk it all by yourself, trying to make something happen, when every major business, especially those in the multifamily space, have a team, right? So you want to build a team, you want to have support, and that's going to give you the confidence to go write that offer, to stay true to those numbers, to not back out of a deal, to not reduce your purchase price to something that is not going to get accepted. You have to have that support system. And the one-man shows, the one-woman shows, those are usually the people that aren't successful. Those that do have a network, a nucleus within them to allow them to build a team and build support on their deals. Those are the ones that usually go out and have success. All right. So last one, the fourth one here is scale. And so what I mean by scale is that there are people who can go in, can do deals. They get a little portion of a general partnership, and that's about it. And so the goal with this, and if you're looking at this, your goal is probably not just to buy an apartment complex, but actually to use it to change your life, meaning you want to leave your W-2. And so there are programs out that will, they say things like, if you buy a deal, you bring us a deal, we'll sign on the loan for you, we'll raise all the money for you, we will essentially run you through the whole gamut of what is required in order to get a deal done, and you become the owner. Now, what happens with that? If they're going to do all that work, think with me now. If someone is going to do all that work, they're going to raise the money, they're going to underwrite the deal, they're going to review the deal with you, they're going to get you to the finish line of a deal. Is it your deal or is it their deal? Right. And what happens at the end of that is that you will own such a small percentage of that deal that there's no way you can do it unless you are doing, right. You're going to need thousands and thousands of units to be able to do it. So what I'm getting at is that you want to have a system by which you can have ownership and control of the deal. And then you want to have the ability to scale what you've built. So maybe you start small with the property, right? All right, first deal, I'm going to buy a 5-unit, 8-unit, 10-unit, what have you. And then after that, I'm going to go to 20 or 50. And then after that, I'll get to 100 or so on and so forth, right? So it's having a system by which you can scale, and you can only scale if you have the systems built yourself. What do I mean? If you depend on somebody else to build a system for you, you're just a part of their system, allowing them to scale. What you want to do is build your own system so that you can scale, because that's how you're going to get financial independence in this business. All right. So everything that you do And everything that you establish should be thought of in the form of a system that you can grow, right? So how do you grow the number of brokers that know about you? How do you grow the number of investors that know about you? That's something that you want to think about and sort of get big, right? Or at least think big so that you can eventually get there. So with that, I'm going to wrap this thing up here and we'll see if we got any questions that come in. But I would strongly advise that if you are serious about this, you probably want to find a support system. And so I want to give you a few things that you should be thinking about as you think about maybe joining a group, getting with a team, something like that. The only reason I'm in the position I am is because I've had mentors. I bought trainings, a lot of them. I spent well over $100,000 in various courses to learn. And so with that, there's a criteria that you can use while you're going out and searching for somebody to help you do this business. Right. So I'll just run through them right now. It's mainly like 3 things you want to focus on. 1, is that person actually doing the thing that they say that they're doing? Right. That's number 1. Right. There are people that are the face, right? They're very good at marketing. They're very good at messaging, but they aren't actually doing deals themselves. So are they legit? Right. Do they do the thing that they say? Right. That's number 1. Number 2, do you have access to the person that is actually doing the thing? So there's also people that they're the face, right? But once you get in and you start working with them, you never see that person, right? They give you somebody else who may or may not have experience, and they're sort of guiding you through the process, right? So you want to make sure, at least with me, this is my criteria, right? That 1, you have access to the person that's actually doing it, and 1, that the person that proclaims to do it is actually doing it. And then thirdly is back to access. Like, can I call them, right? Or is it I can only talk to them once a week or once a month or only email access, right? If you're going to do this, you want to have the ability to pick up the phone, call somebody, and have them look at what you're doing and make sure that you have the proper guidance along with it. All right, so just throwing that in as you want to think about that. So let's go ahead and wrap this up, right? The 4 things that you can look to avoid, right? Let's just do a quick recap and then we'll open up for questions, right? Making sure that you have the skills, right? Refine the skills, make sure you understand the skills, get the systems, make sure that you know how to find deals, how to write offers as a system, the support that you need, don't go at it alone, and then think about your end goal in mind, right? How are you going to grow your portfolio and how can you do that at scale? If you will set up those things, you will lay down the foundation of a profitable business that you can use to make all the success that you would like in your life. And so this was somewhat of a negative conversation about all the things that can go wrong, but why should you do it? Right. Well, finally, I'll just say it's worth it. Right. The Grant Cardone, like those stories, it's worth it. The success stories are real and it's worth it if you will surround yourself with the right people, think about systems and scale your business. Right. So that's it. Hopefully that was clear. Let's see if we got any questions coming in. That's a still frame of me. I don't see anything. It looks like we're good on Zoom as well. All right, cool. So I'll be back next week. We'll go over another topic. Thank you for taking time out of your busy Friday to attend this. Have a great weekend, and I will see y'all next week. Have a good one. Later.